Hey, welcome back to Little Cabin on the Hill. I'm actually down in my workshop at the house back in Ohio at the moment. Just figured I'd show you what's going on. Got a little couple of shop upgrades, minor upgrades, I guess. One of them is a little more significant, and then I've got a piece of wood that I'll show you here in a minute, and kind of debating what to do with it. So I'll just kind of show you the beginnings of it because I have no idea how it's going to turn out eventually, what I'm going to do with it, even. So, anyways, I thought I'd show you before I forget, in case I start working on it and don't get any early footage. Okay, so first things first. Here's the wood I was just talking about. I've got this slab, live edge, rough cut lumber, rough sawn. I actually picked it up last year from someone down in Virginia, fairly close to the cabin. And actually, it's not the best like quality in terms of things that you see when you get the slabs for hundreds of dollars. This is actually red oak. Um, but I've got two others that are, one of them's, actually both of them are longer. This one is almost 6 feet long and about 20 inches wide. It's not perfectly flat. Actually, it's quite a bit not flat. I'm not sure you could tell so much from this angle, but and plus it's affected a little bit by this split. But see if you can tell when you look down the length of it, you can see in the middle here, it's actually, when you measure it, it's about a 1/4 inch higher in the middle than it is on the edges. So I've never really dealt with this kind of wood before. I've seen a lot of people working on it on YouTube and seen some nice projects, but I am still kind of learning how to deal with this stuff. So taking my time, try to figure out really what I want to do with it and how I need to approach it. So um, yeah, anyways, it's kind of a cool piece of wood. As I started saying, I've got two other pieces still at the cabin, actually, in my shed. Both of those are about, I think, 11 feet long. One of them, this is about almost an inch and a half thick. It's an inch and 3/8. I think I measured it the other day. The other two, one of them is also about the same thickness, and the other one is closer to a 3/4 inch piece. So, but they are longer and they're about as wide. I think they're equally as wide as this one. So, anyways, have some opportunities to work on some pretty cool things. As I said, I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do with it and how I want to approach it. So, I'll keep you kind of informed as I start going once I make my mind up and maybe track the project that I decide to do. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do like a bench or a couple of benches or a little table, some shelves. I have no idea. So anyways, and I might do some, because all the splitting up on top, I'll more than likely do some sort of a resin pour as well, which is again something I've never done. So it'll be kind of a cool opportunity to learn about it. And I started saying about, I picked these up fairly cheap actually. The guy was selling several of these slabs. I think I picked up the last of the things he was selling, and I ended up getting the three pieces: the shorter, the 6 foot piece, and the two 11 footers for actually, I think it was $60 or $70. It's been a little while since we bought them, but anyways, I thought I couldn't pass it up, even if they weren't the best of quality. I'm sure I could do something with it. So there you have it. A couple other things while I'm at it, just in terms of shop upgrades. So this is kind of a fairly simple little thing, but for the longest time I've had my miter saw that is not the best of quality, but I've had it for a long time and it's still working. So anyways, but I've always had it. I just kind of bring it up and put it on my workbench over there as I've needed it. And then when it's over there, it takes up all the space on the workbench, makes a mess over there. So I finally decided to get around to making a simple miter saw station for it. So it's got a dedicated spot. And while I'm not using it, it'll give me a little more counter space over there to work on projects. So I think the next thing will be, I've got to come up with maybe some sort of little cabinet for dust collection to help with that, keep it out of the shop, because miter saw just makes a big mess. And so anyways, there might be something else that I feature here on the channel once I start working on that. And the other upgrade was kind of out of necessity. You see, I've got some things tipped over upside down over here. I've got this was my table saw that I've been using. Pretty cheap thing that I picked up at Lowe's many years ago. I think I spent, at that time, I think I spent $150 on it. And it's done okay. I mean, it's not a great saw by any means, but it had been doing okay until I was making a small project not too long ago, and you can see what I've got going on over here. One of the bearings on the motor actually seized up, so this bearing right here stopped spinning, and so I was in the middle of a project and it stopped turning and started smoking. And so anyways, I was trying to debate whether I was going to fix this, try to replace the bearings or buy a new saw, and I kind of hemmed and hawed about it, and I actually did go ahead and I've got actually a kit over here so I can rebuild it if I want to. I still plan on doing that just to get it up and running and then get rid of it. And then I had debated, buying a new saw, but they're so expensive, the ones that I really want to get, or I thought about getting, at least, I don't know, over $1,000, $1,500 or so for a super nice one. But I ended up finding this, kind of long story short. I went back and forth on some different options, but I found this, and it's covered up by the wood now. But I found this Porter Cable contractor saw. It's a, can't remember the model name at the moment. I had it memorized. There it is. PCB 270 TS. So it's quite the upgrade from what I had before. It's a little bit older, but I got a good deal on it. It hadn't been used very much, and I'll show you once I get working on other projects. You'll be able to see the whole thing. But it's in really good shape, not perfect shape, but really good shape. And I think I spent $300 for it. So for not that much more money than what was it costing me to actually fix this other saw. Well, it was more than fixing the saw. This other saw was going to cost me about $75, which is about, by the time I bought this kit, and then I had to buy one of these little, it's like a rubber, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's a little collar that this bearing kind of sits inside of when you install it back in the housing. I bought that separate, and I bought this, and then if I was going to buy my own bearing puller, because I've tried a couple different ways here in the shop to get this off. I can't get the bearing off, so I need to either, if I bought a small one, a bearing puller, depending on what I got, I'd spend another $20 roughly on getting that. So anyways, by the time I did all this, I'm looking at close to $70, and I've seen these saws, that saw, I've seen them selling on Facebook Marketplace for about $75 running. So, it's kind of, you're not getting much out of it by rebuilding it. So, at least I'll get something out of it. So, anyways, I will rebuild it eventually, sooner than later, so I can get it out of my way, I guess. But anyways, the $300 I thought was a pretty good bargain for what I'm getting here. Quite the upgrade, as I said, and hopefully will make my life easier. And maybe, I'm not sure if it will be my forever saw, but it'll be my for the near future saw anyways. All right, so I guess that's about it. This has been a short video, but just wanted to check in with you for a little bit, show you what's going on, and then, as I said, making sure that I didn't forget to kind of document the start, at least the early beginnings of whatever this is going to become. And we'll just make sure when we start something, I try to document it so you can see what we decide to make. So until then, we'll see you next time at Little Cabin on the Hill.